Salibonani. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this wonderful world. I would like to welcome you in a very special way. Ngidamukela kuhlelo lwethu esikhangela ezitshisayo kumbe kuthiwa ngezitshisayo yini ngesindebele empilweni. So we are going to take you through a discussion that we hope will be very interesting. Okuzabe kukuhle ukuthi ukulalele. Ibizo lami ngu-Arthur Sibanda, umfoka amashake, engikhuluma laye lapha elimbonayo onatha amanzi, Anthony Mnyathi Mdluli.
How do you know Tingamans? Maybe you drink.
I only know what you are not supposed to be drinking, so it narrows it down.
It shall be clear during the discussion if it's actually water.
Yeah, so uyaphuza lapha amazulu athi uyaphuza amanzi. So ke siyaqhubeka ngohlelo lwethu namhlanje sikhethe ukubana sikhulume ngokunye okutshisayo empilweni, and our discussion today will be about ngesikhiwa sithi khona is Christianity good for Africa? Inkolo yesiKristu ebantwini abamnyama abase-Afrika inhle yini? Ilokuhle yini ekulethayo inkolo yamaKristu? Yeah, so izinto kumele sizikhulume ngazo zonezi. Maybe before I maybe give Anthony to give his own reflection. You know, one time kulo muntu engathi ngikhuluma laye, he made me to reflect on ukuthi if I was born in North Africa, if I had been born in North Africa, nganganzalelwe phezulu ngale Tunisia, it means I was most likely to be a Muslim. Ngangizalelwe ko Egypt, ngabe kuthiwa ngikholwa enkolweni yesi-Muslim. So in a sense, this person was trying to suggest that it is possible that I am a Christian by default and not necessarily by choice, because lapho enzalelwe khona elizweni laseZimbabwe iningi labantu bathi bangamaKristu. So ngenxa khonokho yikho ngimKristu ingxenye. So nxa ngangizalelwe Egypt, ingxenye lanamhla ngabe kuthiwa ngingummuslim. So maybe ezama ukubonisa khona mlaleli lo mbukelo omuhle ukuthi unanzelele ukuthi inkolo lezi Islam lesiKristu zinkolo zokuza ezabuyayo eAfrika zilethwa ngabantu ababebuya. So nxa wena ungummuslim kumbe ungumKristu, kuyabe kukuhle ukuthi ukukhangela inkolo yakho, uzwisise ukuthi inkolo naleyi kuwe inhle yini kumbe imbi, kulokuthi uphonga ukukholelwa kiyo ngenxa ukuthi ubaba lo mama babekholwa kiyo, logogo babekholwa kiyo, kumbe hayi yinto esayithola ikhona. So kumele kube le ndlela in which you can look at your religion, try to understand it, and then make a personal conscious choice of maybe, can I say, continuing in subscribing to I don't know uthi lapha umdluli yena uthini on that reflection of if he was born in North Africa, he would have likely been an imam by now.
Yes, it is possible, absolutely possible, that I would have been an imam. I don't know that it's easy ukuthi umuntu uzingenise ku-situation ongekho kuyo and be able to think ukuthi ngathi angangilapha nganza so. You wanna, it's like watching football. When you're watching football, you know what the coach is supposed to do. Yakwazi ukuthi kumele substitute lo efake lo, kumele benze so, and but nxa wena usulidlala ibhola lakhona ikubona konke hayi into leyi is different nxa usuphakathi, yabo. So to look at something usuzitshela ukuthi benza yenza so ngathi akangingapha, you know, ukudlala nje ngengqondo. So asidlaleni. Mina
So yeah, continue.
so mina I think that I would have been a Muslim probably. I would have been a Muslim probably. So I think the actual test ekhona sebenzi ukuthi so ake watshintsha yini ingqondo yakho on anything. And
Okay.
ungaza kutshintsha ingqondo yakho, it means that you're probably going to be whatever you believe, whatever everyone else believes. So the idea is ukuthi umuntu kumele ube khona la engqondweni yakho ukuthi okukholwayo kube ngokwakho, hayikhona ukuthi ukopa omunye umuntu, even if umuntu wakhona engubaba wakho, even engugogo wakho. At the end of the day kumele kube ngokwakho wena ukwazi ukuthi nxa usubuza ukuthi wenzeleni lokho, uzakwanisa ukuma sibili ukhuluma ukuthi hayi lokho ngikwenzile ngoba kunceda so unike lokhuze ithiwa ingcazelo. That's the right word, right? You give an explanation.
I like the Australian accent.
What Australian accent?
To the Ndebele.
Is it an Australian? Ingcazelo. Is that an Australian accent? Boo. It's a Shona accent. Okay. Ingcazelo. Is that wrong?
The last one now sounds like Zimbabwe now.
Okay. My daughter is affecting it. Ingcazelo. Ingcazelo. Right? The explanation. So everyone should give an explanation of what they believe. Right? But kulabanye abantu abakholwayo phela ukuthi akukholwayo khona kumele awumelanga explainele omunye umuntu. Mina I think akungani akulunganga khonokho. I think ikwesaba nje. Ikwesaba ukuthi nxa ngi wrong maybe bazangihleka or something. But kodwa eqinisweni nxa umuntu usulala ebusuku kumele ube kwazi ukuthi engikwenzileyo hayi ngenza into right. Enhlizweni yakho you have to have that. So I would have been a Muslim maybe. But I hope but I have changed my mind about things in my life. So I could have probably rebelled as well. So
I'm not going to make a comment there, but I'll show you which I think is worth repeating again. Ukuthi umdluli lapha uthi nxa kuyikuthi even ekubeni umKristu in your Christianity, ekubeni umKristu in your journey ekuhambeni kwakho as a Christian, let's say usube umKristu for about 20 years, nxa kuyikuthi ulokhe ukhangela isikristu sakho ngendlela efanayo even after 20 years kungela lutho solutshintshile ngesikristu sakho endleleni ocabanga ngaso, kutsho ukuthi kawukhuli. I think that's the major point engizwile, meaning nxa kuyikuthi umuntu ekhula even enguMuslim for example, kumele kube lokuzwisisa okuguqukayo ngenxa ukuthi uyacabanga ngakhona ukakukholwayo. Anyway, so kusiletha into the first question engifuna ukuthi si address. Asikhangele kathesi isikristu eAfrica. What are we seeing? Kuyini esikubonayo ngamaKristu? What is the current picture of Christianity in Africa currently? This is a general question. Just go for it.
Okay. I think the current picture of Christianity in Africa is that so there's two thoughts. Thina esihambe ema church thina we love it. Sensibanengi, but bakhona abangumsindo. Bakhona abanye abangumsindo abathi bona Isikrestu is not good for Africa ngoba because of ama prophets asekhona la abasebengale babamba imali ngechurch. And then abanye bathi Isikrestu yisesenza ukuthi sithathele ilizwe lethu what ibuthutha. You know, there's this group of people who are very loud, who seem to be saying that Africa is poor because of religion. So mina ngokubona kwami the picture from those people is Christianity is bad because yikho Africa iphansi kakhulu in terms of poverty, in terms of education and all these things, sanitation, civilization. Well, I don't know if you accept the word civilization, but in terms of civilization, that's why Africa is less civilized than other countries. So people blame Christianity for the poverty that's in Africa. Abantu bathi problem konke Africa nxa kungelamagetsi, it's because we are Christians, you know. Nxa kwacolonizer, it's because we are Christians. Everything is because we're Christians. That's what the more educated, sophisticated people say. I think on the ground, sibili abahambe ema-church babona kuyinto right encedayo ukuthi umuntu laye nxa usufile la ukuza kuya abanye abazokungcwaba, nxa kule birthday kumbe something kube lama-camp la uyakwanisa ukutholwa uphila labanye kuhle in the community. So it gives you things to do, which are good things. And nxa usugula bayabuya labo bezokubona esibhedlela what yabo. So all these things, I think these are good things. Bayakuchadisa, bayakungcwaba, njalo bayakuncedisa ukugcina abantwana. So in that way, Christianity is good for Africa. So, but the more sophisticated people, they feel like this is just, you know, it's milk to make the people laugh. So I don't know.
So Gakulu, I was also trying to maybe help us to have an idea of what an outsider would see when they look at Africa and Christianity. So more like ekuthini kona things that are effect. Christianity is growing in Africa more than any other part of the world. It's in Africa that we see more people getting baptized, more church buildings being built, and it's in Africa that we see esibona khona sokulama prophet amaningi, and it's in Africa again that we see those same prophets performing or claiming to perform miracles, making very big claims about miracle money, miracle babies, miracle this, miracle that. So lokhu yikho konke esikubonayo eAfrica. Lokhu kuconsist kuyavumelana, kuyahambelana lama statistics amanye siwabonayo njengokuthi khona it is a well-known fact that we have about 38,000 to 40,000 different Christian denominations in the whole world. So ama denominations awebandla selimaningi, 40,000 different types of Christians. So that's also consistent in Africa because uzathola amabandla with all types of names. We have the traditional churches. By traditional, I mean lawa abuya lama missionary anjabo Anglican, Methodist, Roman Catholic. Maybe you can also sneak in Presbyterian, labo SDA. Then we then had our African churches. Yes, African churches, white garment churches. Esilawo eZimbabwe. Kulibandla likababa ubani, ibandla likababa ubani. Then kwasokusiba le movement of early Pentecostals, like the Assemblies of God, ministries, Zimbabwe Assemblies of God, Africa, those types of churches, from which developed the new Pentecostals, esilabo kathesi, where it's more of prophet whoever leading the church. So the activity yonke nale siyayibona eAfrica, it's happening in Africa. Welaphe esengifike khona emazweni abelungu lapho kwasuka khona Isikrestu sisiya eAfrica. What is interesting is
you mean sisiya Zimbabwe?
So, well, yes, sisiya Zimbabwe, yes, and other places as well.
Because it's Christus asikhona phela eAfrica. I think we have to be clear.
Yes, Ethiopia mainly in North Africa.
Yes.
Well, my point still was to say in England, for example, Christianity is not what it is in Africa. E-England, nxa usiya e-church, like lapho engiya khona mina, lapho engena khona, abantu abaningi abakhona pha ngama-immigrants, ngabantu abavela kwamanye amazwe abahlala e-England, but bona ngokudabuka kwabo bevela Caribbean, in the Caribbean islands, Africa, wherever, but not abantu abazalelwe, not abantu abelungu abazalelwe e-England, balutshwana ema-church. And number two, in England again, ama-buildings e-church amanye angikhona asatshintshwa from being churches to being restaurants or even houses. Yes, and umuntu owalapha omunye wangikhona le Bible kazakalibali lokhe wazalwayo lokuthi kule Bible kakwazi lokuthi uJesu kuyini kakwazi. So benzama ukuthi sibone that picture yokuthi kona lapho kwasuka khona isikristu abasela bandaba laso. Of course we can have a discussion about that in the future, but in Africa there's this passion about religion, about prophecy, about the Bible, and there's a lot of churches. I think umdluli lapha uke wakhuluma ngakhonokho ukuthi abanye abantu sebezibuza ukuthi alright, nxa isikristu sisiningi e-Africa, why is it that Africa is still underdeveloped? Why is it Africa is struggling financially, economically? Maybe that's another question. Maybe we had already jumped into the next question, which was, how did Christianity come to Africa? Because that's another question. Because ngabantu bekhuluma ngokuthi Christianity is not helpful to Africa. Like a growing movement of Pan-Africanist kathesi. Ngabantu abasithi hayi asibuyeleni emasikweni ethu. Sekele inkolo zabantu belungu. Kona hayi thina amadlozi ethu ngubani bani kandaba wazala ubani bani lo okaJesu Kristu lo ngamadlozi amakhiwa. Silabantu abaningi sebekhuluma ngaleyo ndlela, kuyikuthi maybe benanzelela ukuthi ingxenye isikristu sathi sibuya ikakhulu Southern Africa ngendlela esabuya ngaso, sabuya ngesikhathi esifananayo labantu ababezohuquluza ilizwe bezothatha igolide. So khona ukhiyana ubudlelwano bama-missionaries labo Cecil John Rhodes kwenza abantu kade sibathi khona hayi asibuyeleni kulokhu thina okwabokhokho ababekukholwa kikho. So then ngenxa ukuthi khona abantu abaningi bathi isikristu inkolo yokuza, sifuna ukuthi siphenduke futhi. I know sike sakhuluma ngakho, but sikhulume ngokuthi kona isikristu vele sabuya lama-missionary yini kumbe sasivele sikhona e-Africa la kudala. Maybe can you repeat that point on the Christian origin in Africa?
So nxa silibala iBhayibheli okukhona sibili eBhayibhelini awusoze ubone kuthiwa kumbe eLondon kumbe kuthiwa ngaphi eZurich, wherever, you know. There are many places in Europe that are not named in the Bible, and awusoze uzothiwa eBosnia Herzegovina incwadi abantu baseBosnia kule Roma and kulabantu baseRoma lokho khona sibili, because iRoma iyo yayibusa umhlaba at that time, right? Not Rome Church, Italy, like Italy, the country known as Rome, was ruling the world. So you can find Rome there. But before Rome comes into the picture, Africa vele yayikhona eBhayibhelini. Uzathola bayakhuluma ngayo, Ethiopia bayakhuluma ngayo, bayakhuluma ngelokhu kuthiwa yini, Libya, several places the Bible talks about the Africans, even their skin color, Ethiopians, all these things. So in other words, there was always an interaction between the people of the Bible and Africans. Lord Jesus wabuye Africa for some time. Moses, like why I say Africa, there are so many people who were, in fact, some people even argue that Israel is part of Africa because it's the same landmass. But that's neither here nor there. What we know is the oldest Bibles, some of the oldest Bibles are from the Ethiopian church, which is in Africa. So Christianity has been here for a long time. Some of the church fathers, people who are referenced when people are arguing what the church believed in the olden times, there are people who came from Africa, So, for example, like Origin, I think Origin is always an Origin of Alexandria, right? I think, anyway, I could be wrong, but some of the church fathers, they were Africans. So the problem with talking about things is African. I think it's just not very helpful. Yeah, I don't know if I'm shooting the conversation down, but I feel like it's an unhelpful description because Africa is so big. Africa is so big, but because of the thought of Pan-Africanism, you now want to sort of compare people who were in Egypt with people who were in Southern Africa. These are totally different kinds of people with totally different lifestyles who probably did not have any interactions together. So to try and come up with a common belief or a common culture or common outlook for people in such a large area, it's not very, in my opinion, it's not very helpful. So I would say that in brief, yes, Christianity was in Africa, but it was not all over Africa. It was in specific spots of Africa. North Africa, coming down to East Africa. Yes, you have Christianity there. But coming down, we have maybe some practices of Judaism in some Judaic tribes like the Lembas in Southern Africa. But they were not Christian. It doesn't look like they were Christian. They were more Jews. They are Jews. So, but Christianity has been in Africa for a long time. So, but it's more complex. It's more the form of Christianity that I subscribe to came to us from the British. That's how it came. The British came, and Mzilikazi granted land to the missionaries, and then the missionaries stayed, and then they started to get converts. In fact, I have a book in my house which documents how each church came to Zimbabwe. For those who want to find that book, the book is called The History of Missions in Southern Rhodesia. The History of Missions in Southern Rhodesia. It was published in 1957, 100 years after Mzilikazi had given the first land to missionaries in 1857. So this was before colonization. Mzilikazi himself wanted missionaries to come. So Christianity did come to Africa first. So but the form that we have in Africa came through the British, I would say, mostly through British influences and American influences. From the book that I have, those are the two countries that are majorly responsible for the evangelization of Zimbabwe.
Siyabonga lapho Mdluli. Anyway, uMdluli lapha is confirming ukuthi isikristu sasivele sikhona eAfrica emazweni wona la ade waqama lalokuthi khona silaba imihlobo yabantu ekhona eAfrica abangamaJuda ngokudabuka njengamaLemba aseZimbabwe. Labo ke nxa ngikhumbula kahle usiko labo liyahambelana lamaJuda. Then ngesikhathi esifananayo futhi kukhona scientist I think owake wenza ama-test ama-genes abo batholakala ukuthi bahambelana lamaJuda wona lana esilawo kubo Israel. So anyway, noma amaLemba singathi ngamaKristu, but khona ukuthi balenda imvelaphi yabo ukudabuka kwabo ngokwamaJuda kuyatshengisa ukuthi khona even lase-Africa bakhona abantu i-history yabo evela eBhayibhelini, maybe yikho engizama ukutsho. So inkolo yeBhayibhelini kayiqali ukuba khona e-Africa ngenxa yama-missionary, yayivele ikhona even kweminye imihlobo yabantu be-Afrika. Anyway, sesidlulile kukhonokhu. Bengifuna ukuthi sibe sesilanda indaba oke wayithinta Mbijana. Lapha the question being, was Christianity complicit with colonialism? Isikrestu sathela yini iparafini emlilweni wokuhlukuluzwa kwabantu abamnyama ngamakhiwa? Lapha ngiphethe inceyakhanyi lapha, angikholwa ukuthi kuyakhanya, but ngithele ugwalo lapha oluthiwa yi-Adventist World. Adventist World. This is published, I think, the 7th of the 8th, 2023. It's probably the latest one. Phakathi kwalolu gwalo isihloko semagazine leyi for this month sithi khona colonialism and Christian mission. Colonialism and Christian mission. And phakathi kogwalo lolu kulama articles ayi-2 engiwabonileyo. Eyakuqala ithi decolonizing Christianity. Decolonizing Christianity. Then eyesibili sisithi colonialism and Christian mission. So ngithe kukhulume khonokho because kulama conversations that are ongoing about ukuthi amaKristu basela njani umlilo wokuhlukuluzwa kwabantu abamnyama ngabelungu ababezohuquluza ilizwe. So I'm trying to have like an objective look at this. Ukuthi kona is there a way in which Christianity contributed to colonialism? For example, when I to sit kona, of course sizawuthi kona umzilikazi wayebafuna amaKristu. AmaKristu wayebafuna, but we also know the history of the Rad Concession and Lobengula, where sizwa kuthiwa kukhanya waqilwa uLobengula kazange abekwazi ukuthi nxa esayina usesayina ukuthi abelungu kumele babuye bazothatha ilizwe lonke, kazange abekwazi khonokho. Kungenxa yokuthi yena wayethemba ama-missionary kuyiwo ayekhulumela ama-colonialist ababebuye kuqala ama-missionary. So yena ngokwethemba ukuthi abantu laba nxa bebuye labe-church kutsho ukuthi ngabantu aba-right. So even lakathi esinxa ngisayina, ngiyasayina ngoba ngithemba abantu be-church. So ngezindlela maybe we can ask imbuzo njengokuthi kona ama-missionaries wona lana, of course maybe from evidence we don't, I've not seen it anyway, where maybe the missionaries were trying to tell the king, good, no, don't sign this. This is a bad deal. This is going to get you into trouble. So kungani kuloku silence okukhona during that time, at least from historical documents, as to what the missionaries were doing. Then maybe what is there a bit is maybe, I think in the Solusi mission story, we find maybe the missionaries discouraging a rebellion of the natives. Ukuthi ama-missionaries ayitshela abantu abamnyama ukuthi hayi bangavukile amakhiwa. Maybe kwakungenxa ukuthi babebona ukuthi amakhiwa hayi bale izikhali ezizabulala abantu. Maybe kwakubenza batsho njalo. Omunye umuntu angatsho njalo. Omunye umuntu abesesithi khona hayi babevele behambelana labelungu babe bancedisa. So that's one point. Then the second one that I wanted to, in the same article ekade sibala, there is colonialism and Christian mission. Kule quotation lapha ebengifuna ukuyibala from
what page?
This is page 16.
Because I think yakwazi we look the article yakhona lapha.
Okay. Sizamelela lapho umdluli.
Who's the author?
The author is I can't pronounce this one, is Boubacar, Boubaka Sanogo.
Yeah, okay, yep, yeah, now.
Angazi kumbe if you can go down.
Right. Awuntshela paragraph yakhona.
All right. There's something about South Africa. Yeah, somewhere there. Somewhere there. Yeah. Just scroll it up a bit.
Okay.
I want the no, not the Zimbabwean part. Not the Zimbabwean part. The one that talks about Lil IF to pre. So
F2 please here.
Yes. So lapha bengizama ukuthi ngikhulume ngepoint yona le lo ngumzalwane uIF Dupree lo Roy H Dupree lingqolele nxa ngingasabizanga kuhle amabizo abantu bake bayenza an article laba bakhangela ama reviewed literature and all that basebebhala le article phakathi kwale article basebekhuluma ukuthi khona ngesikhiwa the Adventist Church was always far ahead of the government of the day in applying racial segregation in the church and far behind when it came to scrapping racial discriminatory measures. By the time apartheid was introduced into law after 1948, Adventists had been practicing it for 20 or more years. It's good to read the whole article because I've seen it before, but this is just a snippet of that paper, research paper that was presented by abantu bonabo. So anyway, bona babekhangele history ye-apartheid, ukuhlukuluzwa kwabantu abansundu ngabelungu e-South Africa. Basebebona ukuthi indlela ibandla le-SDA elalisenza ngayo ngaleso sikhathi kukhanya lona lalivele liphambili njengebandla ama-policies ayo ayephambili ukwedlula uhulumende. Uhulumende wayehlukuluza abantu, ibandla lahamba phambi kukahulumende, and ngesikhathi futhi lo hulumende esezama ukususa i-apartheid, ibandla laba-slow lehluleka ukuthi lisuse imithetho leyi ebandezela abantu abansundu. So we are going back to the question again. Was Christianity complicit with colonialism in Africa?
Okay, so I would like us to explore that in our next episode. Yes. Because I'm going to go and get my book because I'm quite I'm triggered because I think I'll just say this is, just for people to tune in next time. I think one of the biggest problems we have here is people who look at the past from the present rather than look. If you want to understand the past, you must go into the past and see the past for what it was. You can't think of yourself as an African living in a house with electricity and people just coming and making you go live somewhere in a very bad place. You have to actually go back to that time and see yourself in that time. What was the difference between your life before the whites came and when the whites came? That's what you need to look at. So let's do that. Let's do that in the next episode.
Umbuzo obusithi khona was Christianity complicit with colonialism? The question is not about whether colonialism came to improve African lives, which I think is what we are trying to say. Ukuthi sikhangele ukuthi kwakuphilwa njani ngaleso sikhathi. So umbuzo still Mdluli is
let's do it next episode.
AmaKristu anyway uMdluli uyala ukuphendula bazalwane. Sizamuzwa next time, but
let's do it next episode.
From what Dupree is saying, at least, yes. Because I didn't bring the whole article,
but we've got the article. Yeah, I've just showed you the article. Yeah, it's a 5-minute read.
It's saying SDA Church clearly wasn't with policies up, but anyway. So, but we are going to look at that next time. And I guess next time again, we will also look at what needs to change for Christians in Africa. What needs to change? Yeah, probably when we say what needs to change, we are assuming we've identified what is not right, which needs to change in Africa.
All right. Okay, siyabonga kakhulu Mr. Mdawini. Thank you very much. See you next time, bazalwane.
Kulungile.
Okay, stop it.